Hey everybody. So this past year, I have fallen deep into the retro gaming vortex. Like, I had really gotten a Nothing Phone 2A, and this is probably like the strongest phone I've ever had up to this point. And the chipset inside could play pretty much up to GameCube and PS2. So I started going crazy, just downloading different emulators and getting things like that. I even bought a controller for my phone. But as time went on, eventually I got tired of destroying my battery every day, and I started feeling like I wanted a dedicated gaming device, like a retro handheld, something like that. So I started going down the rabbit hole that is retro handhelds, and I started watching, different people, kind of like Tech Dweeb or Retro Game Core or Wolf Den and other people like that. And they had a lot of neat perspectives and showed off all of these great little devices that could play everything from my childhood and up to my teenage years and things like that. So I could really get in and play all my favorite stuff that I haven't played in years. But the problem was there's a lot. Like, as time has gone on, they have produced so many little machines that can do this so well, and they just have so many options. It's really hard to figure out which one would be the best one for me. And same, if you decide to do the same thing, it'll be hard for you to figure out. But I ended up coming across this one particular little console, and it just caught my eye. I couldn't get it out of my head when I started thinking about what kind of retro device that I want, because it has the shape of an old console that I used to play when I was young, but it comes with all of these extra things added to it that it just seemed like it was a perfect fit. So I bought a Anbernic RG34XX. Now, for obvious reasons, this thing looks exactly like a Game Boy Advance. It's almost a one-for-one replica from everything, from color to the way they've rounded the edges to the weight to how the buttons feel really, whenever I finally got this thing, it instantly brought me back to my childhood. And that's really what this thing is made for. It's not going to push the boundaries of what a retro console can do, and in terms of power, it's not sitting very high on the threshold of these devices, but it does what it does so well, and that's mostly just being a Game Boy Advanced game player. But it can play so many other consoles. It's actually insane, and they just added so many little extra things to it that I couldn't help myself and then pick this system up. Now, first up, once you get past the nostalgia and eating all the memory berries and getting to the point that you need to, you get to look at this machine and its insides. And first of all, it has an IPS display, and it's only about 3.4 inches, I think, from what I've read. And it's 720 by 480 resolution, which is great for Game Boy. It's for Game Boy Advance, it's pretty much a one-for-one. You're going to get perfect Game Boy Advanced emulation with this screen, and really the Game Boy games shine on this thing. Now, it also uses Anbernic's H700 chipset, and they've used this chipset in all of their XX series. It's like a RG number for the screen, XX. So usually it's just this chipset. And it also comes with 1 gigabyte of RAM, and a 3500 milliamp battery. Now this battery is not too bad in all truth, as long as you're not playing like the hardest systems that it can run all the time with the brightness turned way up and the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi turned on. You're looking at, you know, a solid 5-6 plus hours on this thing. And if you're staying only to like low end stuff, you can push it to 8 real easy. Now this thing is good from like all the old school stuff pretty much all the way to PS1. And this, whenever I say it's good, I mean that it can play pretty much these systems in whole and not have really any issues. PS1, the only issue it has is once you move towards anything that's DualShock centric, which didn't happen until later in the PS1 library. So most of the library for PS1 is playable. The only time that you really start seeing trouble is when you start getting into Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, and it says it can play Saturn, but I don't know. I tried. I couldn't really get it to do much. But, you know, it tried its best, but it's best to stay away from those because there's a couple of things on this system that's missing to really be able to play those. Now, like I said, it's a perfect Game Boy Advance player, and I mean, just look at it, of course. And the way that it's all set up is you have your screen, you've got a front-facing mono speaker, which works pretty much as good as an old Game Boy Advance speaker. It doesn't have a lot of depth, but the sound can get pretty loud, so it's not too bad. Then the D-pad feels almost exactly the same. It's kind of mushy, but the false inputs really aren't heavy. I've had maybe like 2 or 3, but for the most part, if I try to play a fighting game or anything like that, I don't get any false inputs. It pretty much stays the same throughout. And there are buttons past A and B. So to keep with the Game Boy aesthetic, they put the A and B buttons in the same color that it was on the Game Boy Advance. And then for the X and Y, it didn't give them like lettering on their buttons. It's actually flush with the system, so it blends in, which is crazy because it really helps with the aesthetic. That being said, though, it does kind of suck because then that gets rid of like analog sticks, which you need that for the higher end stuff. But on top of that, you get an R1, L1, R2, L2, and the L2, R2 is set up where you would usually think the cartridge was supposed to go into. And so you have that. But thanks to all this, it plays these systems just fine as long as you don't need something that's like heavy analog stick type gaming.
Hey everybody, SirSka here. Just wanted to let you know that you can play DS games on it, but you'll have to manually toggle the screens, and there is no touch support, only a button to toggle a press in the middle of the screen. Hope this helps. Hey, bye.
And then on top of all that stuff, you also get a dual card system. So this thing runs on SD cards, and when you order it, whether you order it from Anbernic or from AliExpress or from any other places, usually it'll come with a 64 gig or 120 gig, whichever you decided to buy with it. And that memory card will come with the OS on it, which is ArcOS. And ArcOS it's really simple to use. It does its job. Now, from all the videos that I watched and the articles I'd read, Anbernic used to have a really bad version of the ArcOS that it would keep putting on the system. But as time went on, they've cleaned it up a bit, and now it's much more useful. So it's in a much better state in that it used to be you had to take it out and mess with it and do all this stuff and kind of know what you're doing. But now it's almost just a like plug and play. You open it up, you start it, ArcOS is there, and if you got a version that has games on it already, the games are just ready to play. You just go in the menu, go to your game, start playing. It's already got presets and everything. So they've made it pretty much a pick up and play type console. And this is the same for like their whole XX lineup, which is fine. But it also has a few other features that I really adore. Like the example of there's a mini HDMI on the top of it. So not only is this a portable, like little handheld that you can take with you anywhere you want to go. It can be plugged into a TV, and then you can just plug it into a charger in the wall, and it literally turns into a home console. You can play anything that's on there, and you can use the system as the controller, or because it has Wi-Fi and it has Bluetooth, you can Bluetooth either a mini controller, or if you want something bigger like an Xbox controller or even PlayStation controllers, you can Bluetooth those to this machine and play it like just a regular console. It's such a wild idea to me that I can have my entire childhood gaming wise in my hands and just be able to take it anywhere, play it anywhere, and then if I get tired of looking at the small screen, I can plug it into an HDMI TV and just have my whole system there. Playing arcade games on this thing on the TV has just been fantastic. So when you really boil it down, this thing it's a nostalgia machine for people like me, but really it's like the greatest Game Boy Advance that you could try to get. That's not an SP, of course, but like a regular Game Boy Advance. It's like a RoboCop version. They've upgraded everything on it. It's insane. And the way that they did it, they still kept the entire form factor. So not only is it like the original Game Boy, it's a little bit bigger because they had to shove more things into it, but it's still great even in adult hands. So even me as a full-grown adult, I can hold this thing and play it so comfortably to where I never have to worry about hand cramping or anything like that. I can play it for hours if I want to play like Final Fantasy or something, and it's really no trouble. The only thing that happens is my arms get tired from having to hold it up to my face. But outside of that, like it's so easy to use. And then even for kids, it's small enough to where small children could use and play this thing, and they don't have to travel too far with their fingers because the buttons aren't like super close to each other, but they're close enough that you don't have to travel too far. The only thing they would have trouble with is, I don't know, maybe putting an index finger on the shoulder while also trying to rest their like middle fingers on the R2, L2. But even then, if it's a little kid, they're going to be playing the easiest stuff anyway, so that's not going to be an issue. So, I mean, I just don't think it's much of a concern. And it really just, everything about it just checks all the boxes of, I want the Game Boy Advance, but with upgrades. Now, leading back to the last thing I said about the operating system on it, even though Anbernic has improved their operating system, it's still not like the greatest. Now, if you just want to have this thing, you order it, it's already got games on it, you've already got the memory card and everything, and you just want to play it, this will suit you just fine. But if you want to take it just a little bit further, and you want to really like customize this thing to how you want it, you can use custom firmware. Now, the good thing about the Anbernic stuff is that it has a nice fan base. There's a lot of people that have been playing these things for so long, and they got tired of Anbernic taking too long to do anything about it. So the community as a whole have come together, and they've created custom firmware for all of these devices that you can put on pretty much as soon as you get it. All you need to do is, well, first I would recommend, if they don't send a quality SD card, like if you get these knockoff Chinese no brand like black cards, you might as well just either toss it, get rid of it, and just don't trust it. Like save everything off of it if you need to save the games or whatever, but literally those things are not very good. They are known to fail. It is pretty much almost guaranteed that they're going to. Go get you a nice little name brand like a SanDisk or something like that, something that at least has a little bit of quality behind it. All you'll have to do at that point is you'll need to flash whatever the OS is that you want. So for these devices, your top three are going to be like MinUI, which is like a minimal UI. It's meant to be very simple, and everything is supposed to be like, it's uncluttered. So it's just really easy for you to set up and use how you want. It's not as robust, as the other ones, but it's another one of those if you just want to keep things very neat and concise. The next one after that is like, I would say Newly. And in all truth, Newly is my favorite, and I'm going to expand upon Newly after this. But Newly is kind of a middle ground. a lot of stuff on it is already done, and it's easy for pick up and play, but it offers you at least enough customization to where you can change some things and tailor it to how you like to play your games a little bit. Now, the last one is MuOS or Mustard OS. And Mustard OS is more for people that want to like customize their system. It's a little bit harder to set up. It takes a little bit more time, and you might need to do a little more research, but the end result is you're going to have a system that's tailor-made directly to you. Now, if we go back, Newly is just, man, it's fantastic. It has so many things that just work with the RG34XX series and Anbernics in general, but the main thing that I want to talk about is, as of this recording, they've actually updated Newly. They just came out with a brand new version. So whenever I first got I mean, really, I'm just going to call it my Game Boy. I don't want to keep calling it this stupid RG34XX Anbernic thing. Okay, it's just my Game Boy. So after I got my Game Boy, I went ahead and I flashed Newly Gladiator 2, and it had tons of things that the original OS didn't have, and it took advantage of, better Wi-Fi, better Bluetooth, all that. It still had some things about it, but for the most part, it was a fantastic OS. And then a couple of months later, they just updated Newly with a massive update, and they call it Newly Scarab. So they fixed a lot of like the small problems, and then they added some enhancements and updated some things. And really, it is a very good update. I think they did a good job. And if you decide to do the same thing I did and like do Newly, then just make sure to donate to them. Just give them something, because these guys, they don't get paid for this. They're literally doing this because they just want the systems to be better. So, help them out. But yeah, definitely put on some custom firmware. Even if it's just Newly can clean up a lot of stuff and give you a lot of extra options. Also, Newly helps with some of the brightness issues, because even now, if you just use the original OS, something's up with the brightness setting to where it's just not as bright as it should be. So I don't know what Anbernic did to throttle that, but if you put Newly on there, it gets rid of it and you can make it brighter, and so it's easier to see. Now, just going back to the battery, like I said before, because of all these new things that is attached to it, like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, if you leave these things on and you only sleep the device, you don't turn it all the way off, the battery will drain significantly faster. Especially if you're playing, like I said, the harder stuff. So if you're trying to play Dreamcast, or you're trying to play Nintendo 64 or things of that nature, it's going to drain the battery out, and you could see percentages drop like within minutes, and it could be really fast and just destroy your battery for the day. So as long as you turn off the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth when you're not using it, and you go ahead and just keep the screen at a decent level for wherever you're trying to play this thing at, the battery life should last you like a solid 6 hours, which is really good for this type of thing. And really, this type of system with that kind of battery is really meant to be played in like, short bursts. You take it out, say I live in Tokyo, so I ride the trains to work all the time. So it's easy for me to sit down, take out the machine, play it for a bit, sleep it, put it back in my bag, and then get off the train whenever I need to. It's a very easy process, and it saves the battery as long as everything's turned off. The battery doesn't drain that much in sleep mode, and I can just pick right up off my game that I turned it off on whenever I turn it back on. It's really, really convenient. And I mean, even in like longer sessions, I've been playing a lot of like PS1 RPGs just because that's my soft spot. Final Fantasy Tactics, Lunar, the Final Fantasy 9, 8, 7, things like that, Suikoden 2. Even the more demanding stuff like Vagrant Story or Final Fantasy 9, as long as everything's turned off and the screen is at a decent level, it'll last a long time. You can have some pretty good playthroughs with this. Now, like I said earlier, it has Wi-Fi, so you can connect to the internet, which also gives you like retro achievements. So as long as you're connected to whatever Wi-Fi that you need to be, you can have retro achievements for all your games. Also, when they do soft updates, not like a full-blown like, you know, going from Gladiator 2 to Scarab type update. That one you just got to reflash the whole thing. But the small updates you can do over the air, so that's nice. And with the Bluetooth, you can use controllers. So like I said before, if you want to use Xbox or PlayStation, you can, or you can just buy these cheap ones, like these Shanwans. Thank you, Tech Dweeb, for showing me these. These play great, especially if you're just playing retro stuff. So like Super Nintendo, Nintendo DS, things like that. These work just fine for that. Yeah, they're really small, but that's kind of the point. It's not meant to be like, you know, it's not supposed to take over an actual controller. It's just whenever you want to play something real easy and fun. Now, also with that, you can use Bluetooth headphones. And with the headphone jack, it works really well. There's like no static. But I mean, I've kind of cut cords recently. But with this thing, I'm thinking about probably like getting a nice little corded headphone set, because the problem with Bluetooth is the same as with my phone. There is delay whenever it comes to games. Like usually whenever you press the jump button, there'll be about like half a second to a second delay. So if you're trying to play like rhythm games, it's almost impossible because you're always going to be late. And then if you're using sounds in games like Mario, you know, Super Mario World or something like that, and you need to hear the sound, it's going to pop up too late and it could cause like unwanted deaths. So you can use Bluetooth, and the Bluetooth is actually really good if you're using the music player function on here, which is also a feature that is so insane to me. You can put your music on here and just use it like a music device, and you can turn the screen off while leaving the device on, and it'll just keep playing music. Or you can put whole videos on this thing and use it as a little media player. And I know a lot of people will look at it and go, why the hell would you use this over your phone? That doesn't make sense. And to me, I would say, well, my fine person, sometimes you travel around and it's easier just to watch it on that than it is to like take out your phone. But the other thing is that if you do travel a lot, like you may end up in hotels, this thing once again just needs a mini HDMI, and you can plug it into the TV, and now it becomes your own little media center. So if you upload it with some of your favorite movies, you can take it with you and just plug it into the TVs in your hotel room, and you can watch your favorite movies. So it's really helpful in that instance. And then of course on top of that, if you want to play a game, because you can use the controller while it's plugged in well, you can use the system as the controller because it's all baked into the whole system. So it's really cool that it has all these little things. And every time that I find myself using this stuff, I just laugh a little bit because it seems so ridiculous, but it works so well. Like, it's just nice. So if you're looking to get a retro handheld and this one has caught your eye like it has mine, I'll give you like the short rundown of what I think are like the pros and the cons of buying this thing. So first, let's start with the pros. So first of all, this thing is just a nostalgia dream, and it just knocks everything out that you remember about the system, and then it adds so many things to it. And on top of that, the price is really good for what you get. I think in USD, it's like, $70 or something like that. And for some people, they may look at that and go, well, it only plays up to PS1, or it only plays up to Dreamcast or whatever. That's kind of steep. Not really, because you get a whole library of stuff, and it comes with all these extra bells and whistles. So it's really nice that way. Second, I would say it's the form factor. It's easy and compact. You can just toss it in your bag. Hell, you can even just throw it in your pocket. As long as you put the screensaver on it, you don't really have to worry about much. And the buttons are raised, but not so much that they're going to get like snagged on everything. And in all truth, all you need to buy is like a little, what do they call it? Like a little hard drive case. And you can actually just shove it in a hard drive case if you want to like really protect it. And it's small enough to fit in those and not get hurt, and you can just throw that in your bag. So the form factor is great for it. And it's also like a perfect Game Boy Advanced emulator. So if you're looking for like strictly Game Boy Advance type stuff, it's hard to do better than this outside of like the SP stuff. So unless you want a clamshell then you go for the SP. But if you want like original Game Boy Advance type stuff, this is pretty much as close as you're going to get outside of buying one, ripping it apart, and upgrading it yourself, which is it's very costly comparatively. It's also, in all truth, a great conversation piece. There's plenty of times I pull this out on the train and I'll get like 2 or 3 people just going, what is that you know, they just give that look whenever they see it, and it's like, yeah, it's a Game Boy, and they'll start looking at it, and I'm pretty sure if it wasn't on a train, they'd probably try to strike up a conversation. But I'm sure like your friends and stuff would want to ask about it as well. And leading to that, this thing is good for kids and adults. It's small enough for kids to be able to play with it. I wouldn't say it's overly sturdy, but like you don't really have to worry about them messing it up too much, especially because it's just all button wise. And then for adults, it's comfortable to hold. It's not too heavy, and it fits in like so many places. You can just throw it and go with it. It's really nice. It can be a home console. So if you don't already have a PC set up, or if you're looking for something that you could just like bring over to your friend's house and be like, hey man, let's play some Simpsons, the arcade game. And you could break out some controllers and play that. Like, it's really neat to be able to take something and have just a full-fledged like arcade / just gaming machine anytime you want. And then the last thing, well, maybe second to last thing for the pros is it's a media device. So if you want to, like, you know, get your music off your phone, or if you're looking for something to take on the go, these things can work really well. Yes, the screen is small, but you can still see everything just fine. Like, even I don't have perfect eyesight, but I have no problem watching stuff on this thing. It's actually pretty interesting that I could just watch movies on here and not mind at all. And then of course the big main thing, it's a f***ing Game Boy Advanced. Like, come on man, these things are cool. Now for the cons, there are other devices around the same price point that can do better than what this does. Like, the main reason that this is what it is that it plays Game Boy Advanced perfectly. You really can't do much better than this in terms of like the most perfect way to play Game Boy Advance games in emulation. You can get it close with the SPs, like the 35XX SP and the 34XX SP. The 34 has analog sticks, so it's the same chipset, like, you know, smaller form factor, clamshell, so it can protect its body parts, but it's got the analog stick so that it can play the higher end stuff as well. So it's not the best at the price point, and you can find some other things that can do it, what it does, even a little bit better for basically the same price. The other thing is, it can't play all the systems. Like, it can play Dreamcast stuff, but it's going to be very limited because the Dreamcast needs an analog stick, and you don't have two. You don't even have one. You just have the D-pad. So you're going to have to keep switching it off, and if certain games need you to have those, like the dual sticks, you're just out of luck. Same thing for N64. If you need the C buttons plus the analog stick, you're just not going to get it here. It's not going to work well. The other one is the battery can drain fast if you're not paying attention. Like, you really need to be conscious of what all you have turned on, how much you're using it, and all that other stuff. If you don't, you could put it to sleep, forget that you had everything turned on, or you pick it up, you're below 50%. That's just because it's constantly running in the background. So you have to be more conscientious of, how you're handling the battery. The screen can be very small for some people. Like, that size of screen, some stuff does get squished down, especially if you're trying to play like PlayStation or really arcade games. Like, I love arcade shoot 'em ups, but man, this thing, it squishes them down so far it's hard to see like the bullets and stuff, and you will die a lot. The beat 'em ups, not much of a problem, but for stuff like that, it can be too small, and for some people it just may not be big enough for their eyes. Without custom firmware, it's just not as good of an experience. Once again, Anbernic has improved their OS, but it's still not like the best. And you will have to spend the time going through and putting in a new custom firmware OS to really draw the power out of this thing. And that's the kind of the same for a lot of Anbernic stuff outside of I mean, really inside the XX series. It needs custom firmware. Once you start getting into like the Android stuff, not so much. Like at that point you'll want front ends to put all of your emulators together. But for this type of stuff, for like the Linux based systems, really you're kind of forced to get into, you know, the custom stuff. The name sucks. I don't like the name for this at all. I don't like the name of any of their XX series, in all truth. It's way too much to say. That's why anytime it's like, what's that? Oh, it's just my Game Boy. I don't want to constantly have to say like half a paragraph just to name out the damn system that I'm playing on. It's ridiculous. They need to have a better naming system for this stuff. It just makes no sense. And last, now it's not going to affect the system as a whole, but I will say that if you're playing stuff and you got the brightness turned up and you got some things running, or maybe you're playing kind of like, you know, kind of a hard game, the middle screen, like you're not going to feel it on the back of the system, so your fingers aren't going to really, you know, notice it, but the middle screen does get kind of hot. Not to the point to where I think it might melt, but it is very noticeable. If you just touch the screen while it's playing, it's like, wow, that's I hope everything's fine in there, because it doesn't really have like ventilation in there, so everything's just kind of sitting. If you stick to the old stuff though, it's really not going to do that. Like even if you're playing like GBA all the time, it's really not going to get that hot. But the moment you start moving into like, you know, PlayStation 1 type stuff, yeah, it could get kind of hot and it may be a little off-putting. You might want to worry about it a little bit. Now, I mean, really, if you already have like one of these devices, maybe you have like a Powkitty V90, V90S, or you have another XX series or like a brick or something like that, really, this isn't going to do you any good. It does either the same thing or those other things will do something better than what this does. Anbernic has a problem. From what I've been watching and from what I've been seeing, they have just been jettisoning these systems out one after another, and as soon as you have one that's announced and people start looking at it and it starts gaining some traction, another one would come out, and they were just pumping these machines out. So if you've already have something that can do that, I mean, really, it's not, you'll probably be mad at it. If you don't like stuff with small screens, this will not be for you. The screen isn't very big. It's big enough for me. I'm kind of happy with how it looks, but for some people, they just won't care about it. Also, your phone could really beat this thing out. So if you're trying to be as minimal as possible in terms of like the clutter in your pocket, this also may not be for you, because this thing will be just a dedicated gaming machine that you're going to have to add more space to. And for some people, it could just be a massive deal breaker. But if you are looking for something that really hits that nostalgia point, like if you grew up on original Game Boy Advance and you're like, oh man, this is really cool, kind of like me, then this will hit that sweet spot, because it does everything and more. And really, I find myself nowadays barely playing any games on my phone, even though it can run stuff 100 times better at higher resolutions and do that, just because like it's nice to have a dedicated machine just for these games. Even the old stuff, it's just really cool. And it's hard to explain, like going from having everything in the palm of my hand with my phone that I can do, and then just having a very like pinpoint experience. I just want to play a game, and that's all this thing does, so that's what I'm gonna do, you know. So that's really what it's for. In all truth, I love this thing. I take it with me everywhere I go nowadays, and I just, whenever I get a chance to whip it out and play some stuff, I do it all the time. So really, Anbernic, good job. This was a system that really hit me in all the right places, and hopefully if anyone else enjoyed it as well, or you think you might enjoy it, hopefully this video helped you out. And so with that, that's the end of this one. You know, if you like Game Boy games, go ahead and get this. Also, make sure if you like this video, just make sure to like it, subscribe if you'd be so kind, leave a comment. I always like to try to comment back if I see someone drop a comment in. You know, let me know. Do you have an XS? Do you like to retro game? Do you think this is in your wheelhouse, or do you think it's just kind of a lot of fluff and you'd rather just stay with your phone? So with that, I'll see you guys later.